Just a couple notes here to get us started. We'll have Coach Belichick followed by 4 student athletes. Tonight, as a reminder, is our first show of the Carolina Football Live. Coach Belichick will be joined by UNC field hockey head coach Aaron Matson, and Melkart Abou Jaoude will also appear on the show. And then just a reminder to maintain the integrity of the ongoing review. There's nothing coach or the student athletes can discuss because this involves personal matters. So, turn it over to Coach.
Great, thank you. Yeah, before we get started here, Lee, thank you for being with us here today. So, Lee's been, after 30 years of, writing books and being involved in Tar Heel football, 22 years on the radio, broadcasting, just want to say thank you, and if you could come up for a second, have something we'd like to give to you. On behalf of UNC football, thank you for your dedication and service to UNC football. Yeah, appreciate appreciate your books and your long service to UNC football and your broadcast on the radio.
It's been fun. We've got some more to do.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys step in front so we can get a quick photo, please?
Sure.
Particularly in comments today. Yeah. One of the most humble people I know. Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you, man. So yeah, we're diving in here, all in this week on TCU. Obviously, we got a lot of certainly some good review from last year in the kicking game and on TCU's defense. New offensive coordinator here and, new quarterback, things like that on the other side of the ball. So, opening day is always, the tough game to prepare for because there's so many unknowns. There's unknowns on our team. There's unknowns on our opponents. And, even though we've practiced things, we haven't seen them in real game situations. And, how we'll react and how quickly we'll react to those things. It's the same for both teams, but it's always, a little bit of an unknown here. So we had a good opportunity yesterday to go out and go through game situations and replicate what a game is going to be like, from practice standpoint. But again, it's always different when the real lights come on. So, big thing with TCU for us is, number one, not to beat ourselves. We gave up 14 points last year on offensive turnovers and had a couple long runs and passes where they, gained a lot of yards on just 1 or 2 plays. And so, we got to do a better job than we did last year in those situations in terms of taking care of the ball and, not giving up explosive plays. But, the quarterback, is an impressive player, Greg from Harvard. Payne played well against us last year. Denman, obviously, the receivers, one of the top receivers in the country. So, Dwyer will be a problem like he was last year. So we have to do a good job on them. Defensively, it starts with Deal inside. It's a good defensive line. Johnson's a really experienced player in the secondary. And, we got a few, a couple of transfers at corner and all that who look pretty good. So, it's a solid team and solid in the kicking game. Getting with a couple new players there, left-footed punter, so it's always a little bit of a different look, especially when we don't have one. Things like that. There's a lot of things that we need to, be ready for. But again, that's opening day, and excited to get started. I think our players did a good job in selecting the leadership on the team with the captains. All those guys are, hard-working group that have given us good leadership. There are plenty of other players too that could easily have been selected. We've had a lot of good leadership from multiple people on our team, both seniors and guys that are have more eligibility left. But that's been a big I would say improvement from last year. It's been very noticeable on and off the field, and but these guys are strong leaders and were chosen by their teammates, and so I think that says a lot about the respect that everybody has for them. So, yep, that's it.
We'll get started on the left front with your
Good morning, Bill. You mentioned J.D. Craig earlier, when obviously with all the success he had at Harvard and at the FCS level. When you watched his tape, what stood out to you about him in this game?
Yeah, he's a big, strong kid. Can run well. He's athletic. Good arm. He can make all the throws. He can definitely get the ball down the field. But he's, I don't know, 225, 230 pounds, whatever he is. Runs well. So he's a problem with the ball in his hands too. So very productive in the Ivy League, and really runs, throws well. I mean, really, gave a lot of leadership to the team. Made key plays, in some of the big situations for him. So he's a good player.
Hey, Bill. Now with game week here, wanted to ask if you had any update on your son, Steve.
Yeah, no updates.
Do you plan then to call plays, and what is that process going to look like for you guys here now in a few days?
Yeah, I'm not really going to talk about that situation. We'll work it out.
front row on the left.
Bill, with the continuity from the spring, is there more of a comfort level with this group as far as what you feel they'll be able to handle going into the season?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, it's way different than last year. Last year, half our starters showed up in. Well, really, we couldn't do much in June and July. We were still training, kind of, getting those guys in shape. Players like Andrew Simpson, Dilbert Smith, players like that weren't with us in the spring, weren't with us until later in the summer when they were admitted to school. So even though they came in, they didn't come in until late, along with 3 guys on the offensive line. So yeah, we're well ahead of that from a schematic standpoint, and certainly being able to communicate and be familiar with terminology so that we all know what different words and situations mean. Yeah.
Front right.
What was the last time you called things on defense? Did you ever do that while also head coach?
Yeah, absolutely. As head coach, I've called plays on offense, defense, and the kicking game. But we have again, a really good staff. I have a lot of confidence in them. But if I need to do anything, I feel confident in doing it. Yep.
So whatever happens this weekend, you're going to be part of whatever is called at all times.
Again, I have a lot of confidence in our staff, and they can handle a multitude of duties.
On the right.
Bill, you coached in several international games when you were with New England in the NFL, and you won a fair bit of them. What did you do then as far as the guys' hydration, sleep schedules, sort of help them adjust to the time zone difference?
Yeah, all that. Again, it's playing in, particularly here in Ireland. It's kind of the reverse of going to the West Coast. It's about the same. Went to Cal last year, so it's a different direction. But from a timing standpoint, it's similar. This game has some obviously differences to it in terms of being over there a little bit earlier, some other activities around the game and the weekend and so forth. So they're all different. I'm not saying that, but in terms of traveling, it's not like going to Australia or someplace like that. It's a little bit different than that. So we'll take our usual, the things we usually do in terms of preparing the players for the travel, trying to get them on as much of a schedule as we can. Once we get over there, try to get things back to normal. It's a 5-hour difference, so we'll make the adjustment. But it's it's a little bit different, but again, not that much different from the reverse of the Cal trip last year.
Middle second row, Brian.
Bill, I wonder what you learned about the way the college game has been played or officiated, or the timing differences that maybe will help you this year or that going into the season from last year. Is there anything that stood out or you adjusted for the second season?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there are always changes every year, so I don't want to act like there aren't changes. There are changes this year in the rules. In the NFL, there are rule changes every year too. Some a little more, dramatic than others, from replay to the way they officiated, defensive holding and interference to some timing issues and so forth. And it's been kind of the same thing here in college football. They've changed some of the numbering rules and punt formations and things like that. They've changed you know, the targeting penalties and how that. So again, there are changes every year. The 2-minute warning was something that I was used to in the NFL that was new here last year. But the obviously stopping the clock to move the chains and you know, the end of game situations gives the offense a little bit more time. So it's a 2-minute number of plays, opportunities is more if the offense is getting first downs. So things like that. But it's, you know, I don't think it's, we've had to adjust some of the last end of the game plays for things like that, how many seconds are left, because there are some timing issues that are different. So we've tried to make the adjustments for those. I've talked to other coaches that, you know, have been doing this and have been in the NFL, been in college football, and you know, also checked in with some of them on that. So it's, it's a little bit different, but I think it's, you know, you just have to plan for those situations.
Next we'll go far right front row. Michael, welcome to the beat, our newest beat writer for News Report.
Am I?
With Billy, what's the process of evaluating a player that hasn't played a lot in the last year, going back to adding the transfer portal?
Well, in the portal, you're evaluating the 24 season, right? I mean, that's really pretty much all you had, other than, you know, that one game last year. But being here all spring was a big advantage for him. So we've had him since January, all the way through the spring, all the way through the summer. You know, we were able to, you know, continue to build out our situational football and things like that. So all the quarterbacks have gotten, you know, really a lot of reps. Torrey, Travis, and obviously Billy and Miles. They've gotten, you know, a lot of reps. Again, way more than where we were at this time last year, when our two quarterbacks really hadn't taken any reps up until start training camp in August. So, but he's done a good job. Miles, we have confidence in all those guys. Travis, I mean, whoever's in there, you know, I think will do a good job for us in terms of running the offense and being productive, as they have been in practice and training camp. So, you know, we had to make a decision. It was a hard decision, but that's where we are for now.
Front row for Rob.
Bill, how do you feel about the development of the freshmen and your confidence level in some of those guys being able to produce right out of the gate?
Yeah, again, big unknown. You know, we'll see how that goes. Certainly, some of those guys have put themselves into playing time. They've earned some playing time. How much will obviously be dependent on how they do with the playing time that they get. They could certainly earn more, or it could become less. Let's face it. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that we'll have a number of them that'll will get those opportunities. But ultimately, it'll be up to them to take advantage of those opportunities in order to gain more. I mean, really, it's the same for everybody, but just more unknowns with guys who haven't been in college football before. So, but they've earned it out here on the practice field. Nobody's been given anything. So the players that have performed competitively with the other players will get an opportunity to play just like, you know, everybody else will.
Finish up with two more here, RL, and back to Brian.
Bill, you talked about defining the success of the season by stacking wins, and fans understand that, but they're also focused on win totals, maybe at least 6 wins, maybe at least maybe a goal berth. What can you tell the fan base about those sorts of expectations?
Yeah, we're day to day. Right now, focused on TCU. You know, we're not worried about games in November, December, October, whenever they are. When we get to them, we'll get to them. Right now, we're focused on TCU and get ready for the game here. You know, prepare as well as possible. Go out there and play, you know, to our maximum potential. And when that game's over, then we'll turn the page and move on to the next opponent. That's what we do every week all year long. I mean, I don't know any other way to do it.
Finish up here with Brian.
Two quick ones, Bill. Any update on Reese Verhoff's status and what you guys are planning for him?
No updates. It's in the courts, and we'll go by what the courts decide.
Is he practicing with the team or he's not eligible?
He is eligible to practice with the team, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, off of Rob's question about the freshmen, does the new 5-for-5 rule change how you might use some of them because you're not necessarily burning your eligibility by playing them or special team snaps or whatever?
No, I don't think so. But first of all, it doesn't really have any bearing on it at all now. I don't think it had very much before, until maybe you get into that like third, fourth, fifth game where you start to see, okay, you know, kid's been in there for a couple plays on field goal. Are we going to use a year of eligibility on, 10 field goal plays? I don't know. That's really not the case anymore, so it's not really a consideration whether he plays one play or 1,000 plays. It's the same for him. So, and it's the same for us. So I don't think the preservation of that really is a factor at all. If they're here, they're available, and if they're available and they can help us win, then they'll be in there.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Jordan Shipp here.
Good morning, good morning.
All right, who wants the first question for Jordan? Start with Ryan.
Chip, what's the comfort level going into this season compared to last season, as far as preparing for TCU?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I feel like this team is a lot closer because we've had so much more time together. We had a good 7 months together, just to continue to keep growing as a brotherhood and continue to keep setting our standard higher and higher, being able to hold each other to that level, and also being able to build a player-led culture that we know we can fall on no matter what's going on. No matter who it is, no matter good or bad, no matter what it is, we know what that we want the leaders to do, and not even just the captains, just everybody in the facility, from freshmen to the older guys. Everybody want everybody to play and try and just live by the same standard. So I feel pretty comfortable.
Aaron?
How would you describe the excitement of playing an international game where everybody's going to be watching in a week zero setting?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to play? It's a free trip out the country to go play football, So, I mean, I'm super excited. It's my first time going out the country. My family's first time going out the country as well. So just being able to experience that at such a great, prestigious school like this and everything like that with a bunch of my brothers and a lot of my closest friends, super excited.
What are you most excited about in terms of not football necessarily, but maybe seeing something in terms of experiencing something in Dublin?
I don't know. I'm not really going for a vacation. I'm trying to do whatever we can to go win a football game. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. We're not really going to do anything extra, a bunch of extra stuff. We're going to practice, we're going to get our lifts in. Nothing's going to change. We're just in another country, another time zone.
Shipp, we talked with Mason Humphreys last week,
Yeah.
and he told us that even though he's a new guy here, relatively, that he understands the importance of this game for this program, given what happened here in Chapel Hill against TCU last year. What have you and other leaders on the team sort of communicated to some of the fresher faces about just getting your get back against TCU?
I mean, it's not a rivalry game, nothing like that. It's not like we're going to go play Duke. We're not going to go play NC State. It's not one of those big rivalry games. It's just they beat us last year. It is what it is. They beat us last year. Now we can go back to go and fix it. So, I mean, what are we going to do different this year to go make those plays? What are we going to do? Are we going to make sure they don't have explosive plays? Are we going to create more explosive plays? Are we going to be able to run the ball we want to? What are we going to do? Are we going to control the line of scrimmage? Small stuff like that. So it's not really about, oh, they beat us last year. That's of course, yeah, that's in the back of your head. But I mean, like I said, a lot of us that lost to them last year aren't even here anymore. So it is what it is. And just the fact that he knows that, it just shows that, we know what we need to go do. We just go make sure we just play our best football when it's needed.
Jordan, as a captain and obviously a receiver, what do you think separated Billy from the rest to allow him to become a starter?
I mean, personally, I feel like I know me personally, I liked all the quarterbacks. I don't think there was a big, drastic thing or anything like that. I feel like I'm confident in all of our quarterbacks. all of them. Add DJ and Andy in there as well. You know, I love them all. So I mean, I don't feel like it was a big difference. I think one of the things that helped him is his experience. The one thing you can't teach is experience. He's been playing for so long, and he understands a lot of different stuff. There's not too many coverages and stuff he hasn't seen. He's able to communicate with us well in the huddle and stuff like that. So I mean, I feel like that might have been something, but I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't my decision. It wasn't none of our decisions. That's who the coaches felt the best with. So I mean, that's what we're going to rock out with. But I mean, I feel like we're all confident in all of our quarterbacks.
What's an example of that experience displaying itself in training camp that you can remember back to maybe talking with him or in the huddle with something?
Just like I said, just talking to him on the field. You know, when you're going against your defense every day for a month and a half, they're going to start picking up on things. And just being able to, like, he sees something in the huddle, he'll get it out to you real quick and be like, let's do this different. You know, we've been running at this depth. Let's push it a little deeper. You know, I'll wait for you to get there to change up the timing a little bit. Just small stuff like that. But I mean, like I said, I feel confident in all the quarterbacks, and I've seen that from Miles, Torrey, and Trav as well. You know, so I mean, I feel like everybody, that whole room together is just growing daily, and they're just pushing each other. I know they're a super tight room and everything like that, and a lot of those guys, they just want to see each other succeed.
Playing in a picturing an offense, I guess, what are the differences you've noticed, and what impact do you feel like it had on your game?
I mean, I feel like I like his offense. I mean, I feel like Coach P he's a great coach. He's had success everywhere he's been. So I mean, it's hard not to trust in him in his offense. So I mean, in terms of how I feel it impacting my game, I don't really see like it impacting my game. I just want to be able to go do whatever my team needs me to do. No matter if that's catching 100 passes this year or catching one, if I got to go block every play or run every route, whatever it is, everything in between, whatever I have to do to make sure that we get more wins, that's what I'm going to do.
Shipp, in Charlotte, you mentioned that your position group with the receivers is a talented, but it's also a super young group.
Yeah.
What did you see throughout training camp, maybe in any games, or what did you see from the young guys at your position?
Can't drop any names, but I mean, a lot of those guys were working very hard, and you've seen a lot of growth over that time. And it's hard for freshmen to come in and have like an intense training camp like we had and be able to stay focused for that long. But that was something we made in our room. We wanted to be the best position group on the team. We wanted to know like all the juice is going to come from us. We're going to have the most energy at practices. We're going to make the plays and everything like that. And of course, it started with the older guys. But then when we further and further got into camp, it trickled down to the younger guys, and they were making plays. They were doing a lot of different stuff. They were a lot of them were getting opportunities to go against the ones and stuff like that on defense, and they're still making plays. So I mean, stuff like that. Just seeing the way those boys have grown, and for me being able to like have hosted some of them on their OVs and stuff like that, I have previous relationships with a lot of those guys, and just seeing them come into college their first year and be able to make plays. It's rare you have that throughout the whole room. Maybe you have one or two players, but to bring in, I think we had like 6 or 7 freshmen. To be able to see all of them making plays in different ways, that's very special. So I got nothing but love for all those guys in the room. Super close with a lot of those guys, and I say I love them all.
Jordan, do you feel like the service atmosphere last year died down? If so, how beneficial is that to the
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The service atmosphere last year, do you feel like it died down a little bit? Belichick for the first time. Do you feel like it's died down a little bit?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we weren't really paying attention to that much last year. That's something he made known that like we all knew when you bring the greatest coach of all time to college and it's his first season, all the lights are going to be on us. There's going to be a lot of different stuff, and we kind of realized that as we were going into it. People saying, oh, Coach Belichick's not with his team during the bye weeks, and we're on the practice field with him. Small stuff like that. Just everybody wants to see Coach Belichick fail. Everybody wants to see him fall. So we kind of understood that, so we never really paid attention to like the outside noise, and it really doesn't matter what nobody outside of these walls, whatever anybody else thinks, because they're not the ones out there playing with us or coaching with us or pushing us in the weight room, whatever we're doing. They weren't out there with us those early mornings, out there conditioning and stuff like that. So none of that stuff really matters. We never really paid no mind to that, so I don't think it mattered.
Jordan, with that said, this time a year ago when you guys started getting Pre-TCU, as a guy who was there then, only put it in now, how would you kind of articulate what is totally different right now as opposed to this time last year? What are some of the things that kind of jump out that are most different about where you guys are as a team and as a program?
I feel like as a team and as a program, like both of those things tying together, like we're a lot closer. Like I don't think people really understand how hard it is to have pretty much a whole new team, have one team in the spring, then a whole nother team in the summer. It's hard to build that strong relationship in 2 months and then go play in one of the biggest games ever, you know, with that being Coach B's first college game and everything like that. So, I mean, I feel like it all comes down to the camaraderie that this team has built in the hours that we spent together. We spent a lot of time together off the field, on the field, of course, conditioning and stuff like that, and being able to really, really push each other and be able to hold each other to a standard that isn't always comfortable. You know, when you're calling out certain people, you know, that it's not always the most comfortable thing, you know. I mean, just being able to get through that and seeing the way those guys have grown through that as well, you know, like we have, of course, on every team you have some guys that don't want to be talked to at certain times and stuff like that, but you've seen that fade the closer and closer we got to the season and as further as we got into the chemistry into the offseason workouts and stuff like that. So just being able to see that growth throughout the team and seeing everybody put, like, you know, their pride to the side and putting themselves to the side and doing what's best for the team first. So I feel like that's the biggest thing, is just how closer this team has gotten and the relationships that we've continued to bond and form. And it's going to do nothing but get closer and closer. We're going to continue to grow more and more throughout the season.
Does that give you more confidence? Getting into football stuff as well?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident. I like everything that's going on. I know they're not going to put us into situations to go fail. You know, we're going to put our best foot forward every day, and that's going to start with practice today.
Mike, Shipp, what does it mean to you to be named the team captain this year?
It means a lot, man. It definitely means a lot. You know, I just that was something that was voted on upon, you know, my teammates and everything like that, and just the fact that they look at me to be able to lead this team and be one of the I think we had 7 of us. I want to say one of the 7 captains. You know, that means a lot. And also shout out to all the other guys that were voted as well. You know, that's a very, very good captain room. There's a lot of diversity in that room in terms of how you lead, the way carry yourself and stuff like that. You know, like some of us are more outspoken than others. Some lead by just their actions and don't say as much. So, you know, just being able to have that huge spectrum of just leaders, you know, it's a lot. It's pretty good. And that's offense, defense, and special teams as well, you know. So, I mean, it means a lot.
And of those captains, McDonald wasn't even here last year.
No, he wasn't.
Now he's a team captain. What does that say about him, and what stood out about his leadership so far?
Yeah, D-Mac's a great player, man. He's going to make a lot of plays for us this year. He's an outspoken leader. He speaks a lot, especially to the defense and stuff like that, with all the calls and stuff like that, making sure he's always communicating. And I see him talking to his D-line all the time, just making sure if there's anything he could do to make sure they're in a better like position to succeed or anything like that, anything he could do better. He's always talking to his secondary and safeties behind him and stuff like that, just making sure the defense is communicating. And Caleb Cost does that at a high level as well. He's always communicating, talking to his guys, and he comes out and he sets the standard for that secondary. So, you know, just the fact that we have guys that can do that, like, you know, you talk about how D-Mac's only been here a couple months, but then K2, I think this is his 4th year here, I'm gonna say. This is his 4th year here. So, I mean, just being able to have, like I said, that wide spectrum of guys and just all the different stuff that's going on, you know, it's amazing.
Good stuff, Jordan. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.
First question for Derek. We'll start here with Michael. Derek, you've yet to play a game as a Tar Heel, yet you've been named one of the 17 captains. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's definitely a big honor. I think just coming in here and getting to work early, getting to know the guys the best I could in the past 8 months, it's an honor that they named me captain, that they feel that way about me, but now it's my job to make sure that they name the right guy captain.
Derek, obviously in Steve's absence, how much confidence do you have, both obviously with yourself and maybe Peyton on the field, but and the entire defensive staff as a whole to make the right call and be in the right spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of confidence. Obviously, it's Coach Belichick's defense, so when you have a guy like that kind of leading the way, and the coaching staff that we have, there's so much experience. I think we have plenty of guys to come fill in the holes and make up for that.
Next question from Bill. AJ?
Has it been a challenge at all not having Steve Belichick here at DC and preparing for a game when the guy who is DC is in here and different people that are involved and trying to get the calls and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has to step up a little bit, obviously, when there's someone missing. But it's definitely been a little bit of a challenge, but I think, once again, with the coaches we have and the players we have, everyone's just kind of taken their game to another level. Everyone stepped up a little bit and filled in that role. So, yeah.
Not that you would want to be in this situation, but does it help that it happened early in camp so you guys have had a few weeks to sort of acclimate?
I mean, yeah, I think understanding kind of what we needed to do to fill in that gap definitely helped that it happened a little earlier than the day before the game.
Derek, now that we are in game week, have any support staff let the team know, like, hey, here's what we want you to do with your sleep schedule, your hydration schedule, nutrition, given this big trip that you guys are about to take?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people helping us at all times. Amber, our nutritionist, is always on top of things. So, I mean, I think we're just focused on taking it day by day, but obviously it's a different type of travel schedule than you'd have for most games, flying to a different country. So I think we're gonna have a lot more steps that'll go into that we'll get to when we get to that day we start traveling.
What's it been like to play for Coach Belichick? Has it been different than maybe you thought as someone who watched from outside and probably followed his career?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's lived up to my expectations and probably more. He just the way that he's always involved is what's really impressive. He's always hands in and trying to give us advice no matter what's going on, and he loves being around football, and he loves kind of working with every position group from the D-line to the secondary. So he knows so much about football, and having him out there just helping every piece of the team is super valuable.
Is there a certain bit of advice he's given you that maybe you hadn't come across in all your years of playing football?
I mean, I don't think I can point to one piece of advice, but just the way he sees the game. There's so many nuances, and you can tell he has so much information in his head about football that he probably knows more than, or has forgotten more than most people even know about football. But yeah, it just every day you learn something new from him.
It's pretty early in the game week, obviously, but what have you learned in your short time about how Bill goes about a game week preparation and sort of the schedule for the week?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's a lot like he does everything. It's very process oriented. We're very prepared, and every day is another opportunity. There's something we're focused on getting better at. So it hasn't been too much different. I think that's something in the off season that we focused on, was just taking it day by day and working on the things we needed to that day. So now that we moved into game week, it's just another part of that process and time to ramp up and get ready to go.
What stood out about Billy Edwards playing against him all these months now,
Sure.
spring, summer, and now fall? What's kind of stood out about him, and what do you expect from him in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's an experienced quarterback when you play him. That's definitely one of the big things. He knows how to go through his reads, and he even in 7-on-7 in like the summer, when we would just be out there messing around, you could tell he would mess with the linebackers, try to move us off the spot a little bit. But he's played a lot of football, and he's an experienced quarterback, and I think a lot of the guys will have confidence being around him and knowing that we're going in with him as a starter.
Derek, are you going to be wearing the green dot for the games this season? I don't know if I've ever asked you or got that.
I mean, we have multiple guys that can wear the green dot, so it depends on who's in there. But yeah, I've had experience with the green dot.
How comfortable are you, and how long have you worn the green dot? Was it at Syracuse, and how long have you experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I've worn it at Syracuse before, so it's nothing crazy. It's just one of those things that kind of has developed in the past few years, but honestly makes it a little easier to communicate on the field.
As you turn the page to TCU's
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's a talented guy, coming from the Ivy League. He can run around a little bit. He's definitely an athlete, but he can throw the ball deep. He's got a pretty big arm, so it'll be interesting to see how they use him in that offense. But I think it's going to be a good challenge for us.
When you're going against someone that's making that jump from the FCS to the Power 4 level, is it something that, maybe, how important is it not to, I guess, underestimate him and take him lightly just because he's moving up the division?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really think, oh, he came from the FCS, and we have a ton of guys from the FCS, and we have some really good players that came from the FCS. A lot of people slip through the cracks earlier in the recruiting process, and then they end up here, they end up in the right place. But he's super talented. You can see that on film no matter who they're playing, and they're playing good competition over there, so it'll be a good challenge.
Jared, how eager are you to go against somebody that's not wearing the same colors?
Yeah, I mean, that's always exciting. I think we beat up on each other pretty good the whole offseason, spring ball, all the way through fall camp, so it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, even in practice, just getting into kind of like some scout periods and pretending like we're playing against someone else. It's definitely more exciting, so I think everyone on the defense especially is excited to play against a different offense.
Good stuff, Jared. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Jared. Yours? Start right here, AJ.
Billy, what do you think we did to get any started for TCU?
I think just be consistent. I think that was, the biggest thing going into it of, what I've learned throughout my time in college, whether it was at any of my 3 previous stops, of just being consistent as a quarterback, making the right decision. Sometimes that means throwing the ball away. Sometimes that means running out of bounds for, gain of 1, just trying to put the offense in the best situation, eliminate the negative plays. One of the phrases I got taught as a younger player that kind of stuck with me is mitigating risk. Just, Coach Belichick always says we can go forward, and the only way we can go forward is by not going backwards. So just really eliminating the negative plays, just trying to consistently put us in the best looks possible, whether it's check runs or getting us out of a play if the defense is presenting something. I think just trying to be consistent. I know it was, a long process, and dating back even to, winter almost, I think 8 months ago when we came in here and started on the offense, just figuring out, okay, what is going to be our bread and butter? What are our good looks? What are our bad looks against these plays? And figuring out how I can go out there and best execute them.
You won a couple of battles previously with different programs. How much of that kind of helped you as you went through the daily grind of trying to win the battle?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think the biggest thing for me was just putting my head down and knowing that it's not going to be one day. It's not going to be one snap, one play. I think the big, word that I kind of repeated to myself was consistency. Just knowing that whether I had a good day or a bad day, it's not going to last. You got to show up tomorrow and continue to do the same thing, continue to put your best foot forward. So just trying to be consistent. And I think the biggest thing for me, even from spring when I came in here and, maybe first spring, 1 or 2 practices, I wasn't as comfortable, right? I'm coming off an injury. I'm in a new offensive system. I'm at a new place. There's a lot of, even for me as a 23-year-old and a guy that's transferred multiple times, there's a lot of adjustments and a learning curve you have to go through. So seeing the growth I made from practice 1, 2, and 3 in spring to practice 15 gave me a lot of confidence coming in here, getting back in the summer, having all that spring football under my belt in that offense, and then, really trying to do the same thing in fall camp, which I think I achieved, and really throughout the season, you want to be, playing your best football when it's needed. So just continue to try and get better every day.
Spencer, obviously last season was cut short with Philly. Just detail your road to recovery and how eager are you to get back out on the football field?
Yeah, I'm very excited. The road to recovery, it was, I guess, weird per se, right, with the injury that I have with, spraining your PCL. It's not a whole lot of a common thing. So it was just, it was kind of like the quarterback battle, just trying to be consistent, trying to attack every day. There were good days, bad days in terms of my recovery last fall. But really Moses, I give a lot of credit to Moses and our training staff. They've helped me out a lot. And I feel great. I feel, 100%. I'm excited to go out there and play. I haven't been wearing a brace since spring. I didn't wear it all summer, didn't wear it all fall camp. So I'm excited to, just go out there and compete again. It's been a while since I've been able to go out there and, actually play some snaps. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Brian?
Bill, what did they talk to you about when they recruited you out of the transfer portal? And did you know that they were going to bring in, Miles and some other quarterbacks? How much heads up were you giving on that?
Yeah, they were very transparent. I think the biggest thing for me looking, when I was in the transfer portal was just an opportunity to compete. Obviously I was going into my 6th year. I'd been to a number of other stops and really just looking forward to what opportunity could give me the best opportunity to grow, right? And coming here and working for a coach like Coach Petrino and playing for a coach like Coach Belichick, those were obviously the 2 biggest factors for me. But they were very transparent, and I was just, seeking opportunity. I've tried to do that throughout my whole college career. I think everybody's college careers are different. Everybody's, when you play, how it happens is different. But I think the one thing that I've always tried to do is just seek opportunity. And, when you seek the opportunity and you prepare the right way and those 2 meet, and you have a chance to, be successful.
What was the decision to leave Maryland? Obviously, you were the starter for most of that season. How did that play out? Why did you go to Wisconsin?
Yeah, I was just looking for a different fit, right? Obviously, when I made the decision to go to Wisconsin, I was, in hope going to a 5th year, try and get to a little bit different of a system, something that could help me elevate and grow, and maybe some things that I didn't do as much in college football up until that point. So really just trying to challenge myself, go to another school. Obviously, like I said, there's learning curves and growth and transferring. So really just trying to get myself outside my comfort zone, go to a new place, a new program, run a new scheme, and continue to become a better player in person.
Billy, you mentioned sort of mitigating negative plays as being a factor that you think helped you win the job. Coach Belichick, we had him earlier in the fall camp, and he mentioned that that's one of the top things that he looks for in a quarterback, and that's one of the things that made Tom Brady so successful when they were together with the Patriots. Has he shown you and the other quarterbacks, have you gone over Brady film from when he was in the NFL and then Coach Belichick just pointing out, okay, here's what he did here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the biggest thing too that he always talked about with Tom Brady was, when the defense gave him opportunities for big plays, like he made them pay. When the defense made it bad, he turned it into an ugly for them by, exploiting it and getting a big play or getting an explosive or making the right check. So he's gone over a ton of that, whether it's, in team film and film with him on the field, he'll pull us over all side and make sure if I'm in there, if Miles in there, if Travis is in there, that we're all getting the coaching point. That way we know, we're all on the same page. And obviously it helps when, he can go back in his arsenal of film and pull out arguably the greatest quarterback of all time doing it, whether it was preseason game week 1 or, they're playing in February for the trophy. So it's been fun to, see that obviously as a player and an older guy that has been around a lot of coaches and a lot of different programs and a lot of different systems. When you can go back and pull up the tape and it's the pinnacle of the game of football, of playing on the Sunday, AFC Championship game, Super Bowl, and you can watch the tape, and that's what, you're getting coached to do and asked to do. It makes it a lot easier to know, okay, obviously it's done at the highest level, but this is how I'm getting coached. I'm getting, all the same coaching points that this guy did how many ever years ago. So it makes it a lot of fun. And, obviously it's easy to go back there and watch Tom Brady film and, try and learn from it and take everything you can from Coach Belichick that obviously coached him for a while.
So second year in a row, jumping in, learning a new system, like what did you learn from the previous experience and how did that guide how you went about, your early days learning the offense and getting the receivers and all that?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's like a challenge. I think every year when, whether I was at Maryland, we had a new offensive coordinator or obviously in my transfer decisions, it's kind of humbling when you come in the beginning and you get new terminology and you get a new playbook, but I find it really fun. I find it really enjoyable. I've had, definitely over the last 2-3 years in learning new systems, but probably just in this last year alone, making like 1,000 flashcards, trying to write it all down. Like that was, the one thing that I've always, the guys in the quarterback room, we're all different learners. And for me, I'm like a rep guy. Like I need to write it down 1,000 times. I want to see it. I want to, go walk through it by myself. So I've always enjoyed that challenge of trying to learn a new system and really trying to get in, Coach Petrino's head of, hey, when he calls his play, this is what I'm envisioning. This is why I want to call it. And this is, what I want to get to if I don't get the look that I want for it.
Have you always been doing the
Flashcards?
and stuff?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a mix. My dad obviously, was a high school football coach for 30-something years. My mom's a teacher. She still teaches. So I think I got a blend of those two of, right, obviously I go out and get physical reps, but I have a little bit of, type A personality of, I like to be organized, like to have my stuff in order. So I definitely have some of my mom in me. I think that's where I get all the flashcards and, I go home and take 1 million of her office supplies to make sure I got all the stuff I need to learn a new system.
All right. What makes this Bobby Petrino offense different from some of the other offenses you played in or some of the offenses that you see around the country?
Yeah, I think just the ability to be explosive, and I think some of that comes in, just the small mundane plays. Not, we're not going to take a shot every play, but I think when you turn on the film of pretty much everywhere he's been throughout his coaching career, whether he was a head coach, offensive coordinator, his offense has been explosive. They have found ways to be explosive, whether it was in the quarterback. Obviously, he had Lamar, he had Taylor Green last year, who was a really explosive runner, and then you go watch, I don't remember the quarterback at Louisville or the quarterback at Missouri State, but they are explosive offenses. They try to take advantage of what the defense gives you. If we call naked and the defense is something else, we always have our answers and our checks. We have a really deep toolbox and things that we feel that we can use to our advantage of, okay, if we call this play and the defense gives us what we want, boom, we know we're going 1-2 and we have a chance for an explosive play. If they give us a look we don't want, boom, we know we have, runs to go to that we like against it, pass checks to go to that we like against it. So I think just the ability to be explosive. I think when you looked at all the places he's been and the statistics, I'm sure back it up of, his offenses score points and they do it very efficiently. And so I think that's just been, the challenge for us ever since he came in here in January of trying to match that because the standard's been set. He's been coaching a long time. His offenses have, been successful for a really long time. So we're trying to match that.
You think you'll be able to hit more deep shots than your previous stops?
Yeah, I would think, I'd like to think whatever the defense gives us, we're going to be able to take. I think Coach Petrino definitely in the system, there's the ability to take more shots, but I think it's, like I said, a shot call doesn't always mean a shot taken. So I think just continuing to try and perfect my craft of, okay, not, forcing a ball downfield, but if we call a shot, and it's there, we got to hit it. We got to take advantage of it.
Jack, what's your relationship like with the receiving group? Obviously, some new guys in there as well.
It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, that room, you got returners, guys like Jordan Shipp. We had transfers. Nathan Leacock's a returner. You got Tretch, you got Mason, you got older guys in that room, but there's obviously a lot of young talent in there, guys that got here just when I got here, and they're 17, 18 years old in the first, in college for the first time, away from home for the first time. So it's been a lot of fun seeing that growth. Really, as a receiver room and a quarterback room as a whole, kind of seeing all of us come together of, okay, this is how we envision that route being run at this depth, making sure we're all on the same page. It's been a lot of fun. Just seeing the guys make plays. I think you've seen a lot of the young guys, make a lot of growth. The transfers, Shipp get into a new system. Obviously, he's an older guy, a returner, but you see him adapt and kind of find his place in the offense. And you've seen everybody make, tremendous strides in the offense from dating back to January and even through spring ball. We had some good days in spring ball where we were explosive. We've had our days in fall camp where we've, hit some deep shots. So seeing all those guys come along, there's a lot of characters in the room too. So there's never, never a dull moment when we're all in there watching film. We're all, talking in the locker room. So it's been a lot of fun.
Billy, can you take us through the moment you found out you were the starter?
Yeah, it was a conversation. Like I said, obviously I'm an older guy. I've been through this before. I don't even think I told my dad about it for a couple of days. Like it was, I think going in there, my mindset, it wasn't that big of a deal. I guess that, not to say, I take a lot of pride and I don't take it lightly that I get the opportunity to be the one in the huddle and lead those guys. But I think, I've always said it. I said it a lot when I was a starter at Maryland. I think people get bored with it. Like I'm a one day at a time guy. Try not to get too high. Try not to get too low. I think when people are in the huddle or people are in this facility, you can see the same consistent, kind of steadfast Billy. I think that helps, everybody else, whether we're having a great day, we're having a bad day, we're having a great practice, we just had a bad play, whatever it is, kind of can look to me to be that steady kind of guy. So I think that was, truthfully my same reaction in there of like, all right, the decision was made now. Back to business, back to getting ready for TCU.
Did you have any idea a decision was being made that day, or was it just?
I did not.
Time for one or two more. Let's go to Michael. Billy, making this transfer from Wisconsin, how big has it been to have a familiar face in Tretch? Not just someone who you see every day, but someone who you're going to be, interacting directly with on the offense throwing the ball.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Tretch, I think Tretch, when he came in here for his official visit, I was maybe like on my way out, and he flew in from Hawaii, and then I think he went back to Hawaii. So Tretch stayed with me for probably like the first 3 or 4 days because I had kind of gotten moved in a little bit prior to him. But it's been a lot of fun. I think obviously when we got here, we were probably hip to hip more than we were at Wisconsin because we were both new guys. We're both walking into a new place, and there was a lot of other new faces. But to see him come along in the offense and to see kind of the plays in there that we have that really fits his game, and he, has made a ton of plays on in fall camp and spring. Ever since we've been here, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited. We've had obviously over a year and a half of a relationship now, and we've had good days, we've had bad days, we've had good games, we've had bad games together. So I'm excited for the opportunity to go out there and compete with him.
Bill, you talked about obviously going into this is your 6th year of college football. Something that a lot of the guys who've gotten up here said is that ability to your leadership and that ability. How much of a priority and how much do you lean on being a leader and better than the offense?
I lean on a lot. I think the biggest thing for me is, when I was a younger player, I had some really good older guys in the room around me. Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland, Sam Hartman at Wake Forest. And I think, the biggest thing those two taught me was just being authentic, right? Being, don't try to be anybody that you're not. Just be consistent in who you are and be comfortable in your own skin. And there's some days, I think I have great relationships with everybody on the team. And, you got to make your way around. You got to learn the D-line. You got to learn the DBs. You got to, become friends with everybody. But strictly from an offensive perspective, there's going to be days where, I'm going to put my arm around a guy, but then there's going to be days where I'm going to have to confront and demand and, maybe get on a little bit. But I think the relationship piece and just, knowing that it's coming from a good place and knowing that, I'm not going to be the guy yelling all the time. That's not really my personality. I like to kind of keep a calm presence and have some poise out there. I think that is the biggest thing for me. It's just remaining authentic, being true to myself, and then understanding that each situation, each opportunity to lead kind of calls for something different, whether it's a different person you're talking to or, we're on the road, we're on home, good play, bad play, it's going to call for something different. And I kind of lean on my experiences and the people that I've had around me, throughout my career to kind of navigate those situations as they come up.
Perfect. Good stuff. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you guys.
start us off? Melkart, you've talked a lot about your football journey in the past few years, from not knowing if you're going to play high level college ball to going to Delaware, not coming here. Last year, second team All ACC, and now you're a team captain for North Carolina. What does that mean to you as sort of the culmination of that journey so far?
It's an honor. You know, it's a blessing to be picked by your teammates, to be the one who represents them, and you know, I take that with a lot of responsibility, and I gotta be the best version of myself every day to represent that accurately.
How did they let you guys know that you'd been named captain?
They just told us after a team meeting that we were selected.
You know, Melkart, you talked a lot about consistency getting back to last season when we were in the offseason. That was one of the areas you wanted to improve most.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you came along in that? And I guess what were some of the specific things that you have seen yourself work on over the offseason that has really helped you in that area?
Yeah, a lot of work that I put in the offseason I've really seen pay off. You know, my get off, my effort to the ball, and just always working the move. You know, if I get stuck with one move, my rush isn't over. I got 2-3 more to pull out and just keep working.
How have you kind of seen all the new faces on the defensive line kind of gel and mesh together as we get into the first game of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's the closest the D-line has ever been. You know, we all love each other. We see each other every day. We've been working out with each other every day. We're hard on each other. We critique each other, and everybody just, you know, takes that coaching. Nobody gets upset, and we're really a family in that room.
Melkart, given what happened in the TCU game last year here, how much of an urge do you feel to like get back against them, especially in a game that a lot of people are going to be watching on national television?
You know, every game you want to attack the same. You want to be violent. You want to be relentless, and it's no different. We're going to be just as violent if we beat them last year or if we lost.
What impact does Steve's absence have on the defensive unit, and you know, how are you guys trying to fill those gaps?
Yeah, you know, obviously we miss him. You know, he's a great coach, and all the other coaches, you know, have been stepping up, and you know, we've been good taking care of business.
You know, where have you seen Jalen Harvey improve since this offseason?
The biggest thing is consistency. You know, Jalen Harvey, he'll have a few explosive plays every practice. You're like, damn, he's a freak. And, you know, he's just been able to do that more consistently and more often.
How exciting is it for you to watch him have those plays and know that come game time, those kinds of things are going to help you?
Yeah, it's exciting, for sure.
When you look at TCU, and you look at obviously Jaoude at quarterback, what pops off when you watch his film and you look at him on tape?
He's a good quarterback, smart, you know, mobile. Just excited to play him.
And with a mobile quarterback, does that, I guess, change maybe your plan of attack in pass rush or in the gaps?
Yeah, you definitely got to be smarter. You know, you can't lose contain. You can't let him rush up the B gap. So we got to maintain our rush lanes and keep him in the pocket.
You're a lot more excited just to face another person on the offensive line.
In the roof. Very excited.
Anything else on Melkart? All right, good stuff. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.